Good morning, brothers.
Good morning.
If you could humor me and close your eyes for a second. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and go back to a time when you physically moved friaries as a Capuchin. Whether that be because you moved to a new stage of formation or because you were given a new assignment. I want you to remember what that feeling was like of the first few days in the new friary with new brothers that you haven't lived with before or haven't lived with for a while. I want you to remember the feeling of transition. There were days that you had intense struggle, you felt homesick for the people you served in the last ministry, or the brothers you lived with in your last friary. Then there were days that during the transition that were easier. The brothers threw you a welcome dinner. You realized that this friary wasn't all that different from the last one. It was still a Capuchin friary with friars. They wore the habit, said the same prayers. You heard Big Bang Theory. You stayed up late talking with one-on-one with one of the brothers whom you never knew before or you didn't know well. You can open your eyes. What you experienced at this new friary, with those conversations, with those welcome dinners, that was hospitality. Capuchin hospitality. I think that's an element of our life that is so important. We're called to not just be hospitable to the people that we serve, but also to our brothers, and firstly our brothers. Because as I heard all growing up, charity starts at home. As Capuchins, we live a very itinerant life. For us young guys, we're going to move a lot in our life, and for the older guys, you've moved a lot. Not only do we move and change friaries and ministries, but we also travel a lot. Join the brothers, see the world. Right, Tom? We hear that over and over. Join the brothers, see the world. And our constitutions encourage us when we're traveling to spend time with brothers of different friaries. But we go where we're needed. We go where the people experiencing poverty need us. We go where the brothers need us. We go where our provincial tells us to go to. This is very much where poverty and obedience embrace. And so as we're traveling or as we're being assigned to different places, we go through transitions. And transitions, as we know, can be really difficult. But what helps with those transitions? Well, that's what sections 98 and 99 of our constitutions talk about. And if I had to sum up those sections of the constitutions, I would say in one word: hospitality. So that little sheet that you might have gotten on your way in sort of breaks down, as I see it, in the constitutions 4 different scenarios that brothers might find themselves in and how we're called to be hospitable to those brothers. So think of the first section or category of brothers would be like the brothers who just generally visit us, whether it be from like other provinces. Edgar's classmate, Francisco Serrano, comes down from New York province to visit our province often. And our constitutions say that we are to receive that person with brotherly charity and a warm welcome. Then you have brothers who are traveling regularly, willing to stay in houses of the order. I think of Rafa doing all his traveling for vocation work. He always tells me he tries to stay at a friary wherever he can. You think of Ray working with Focus, again, the same thing, or Tage. Matthew Palkowski, you do your traveling preaching, and you often will stay at friaries. We're called to be hospitable to those brothers that are traveling. But those brothers are also called that are traveling are also called to share in the life of the fraternity. It says that in our constitution. They shall share in the life of the fraternity. I was taught as a young friar that our houses are not hotels. In fact, Angel McCarty last year did a great job of calling me out because I was staying in Philly visiting my family, but I stayed at the friary and I barely spent time with the friars. That was a really good lesson for me, that I am also, as a visitor, supposed to share in the fraternity and be hospitable to those being hospitable to me. Then you have brothers who are sent to other provinces for formation or various other reasons. Our constitutions say that they shall be received by the ministers and guardians and by the local fraternities as their members. They shall take full part in the life of the fraternity. Rogerio and Wilson have done a wonderful job of that here. You have, my novice master was Robert Stewart, moved all the way from Australia, far from his province. You have, you think of Tommy. Tommy's over in Italy, and he's living in a friary outside of his province for formation reasons. Then there's brothers who, with the blessing of obedience, have to live outside the friary due to special circumstances. We think of Dan Minling, who's away for most of the week. Think of Charlie McElroy. Our constitutions say that they shall enjoy the benefits of that fraternity. Let them always feel part of the brotherhood. Let them be received with charity and offered whatever spiritual and material help they need. Let the ministers and guardians care for them with the concern of a brother and visit and encourage them. So I want to tell a quick story of how this was done well. When I was in the novitiate in California, someone asked Robert Stewart what it was like to move all the way from Australia to California to be our novice master. And he said, you know, I feel at home. I felt immediately at home because I was in a Capuchin friary. I was at home. I was with my brothers. I have not forgotten that. Actually, the other day I emailed him asking him, knowing I was going to be giving this talk, to expand on that. And he told me a story. He told a story about when he and 3 brothers were recently ordained, and they came to the United States to look at different houses of formation. He said, we arrived in San Francisco and stayed in the friary in Berkeley. It was the first time I had been outside of Australia. I was lying in bed at the Berkeley Friary that night, reflecting on the journey to the USA that first night. I was thinking, this is the first time I have slept outside of Australia. But something felt wrong. Something seemed strange to me, and I couldn't put my finger on it. As I reflected, I realized what was wrong. What was wrong was that there was nothing wrong. In other words, I did not feel the strangeness that I should have, being in a strange bed, in a strange friary, in a strange city, in a strange country. I in fact felt home in this friary, far, far from home, the friary I had left. I was far away, but not far from home. The home of being welcomed into a friary by my brothers I had never met before. Yet I was feeling just as much at home. I want to take this moment here to thank Edgar Castro for moving in. Estamos muy contentos que estés acá con nosotros. Gracias por ser valiente y hacer la voluntad de Dios en tu vida. Nuestras constituciones dicen, dejen que sean recibidos con caridad y ofrezcanles lo que necesitan, sea ayuda espiritual o material. El tema de esta charla es la hospitalidad. Durante este tiempo de transición, yo espero que nosotros podamos hacerte sentir en casa, en esta tu nueva casa que es Cap College, con tu nueva familia que somos nosotros. This experience of Robert Stewart, being in a completely foreign country, and completely meeting brothers he's never met, in a friary he's never been in, that is radical, that feeling of him feeling at home. It's radical because of the hospitality of the family, of the Capuchin family. I want to steal a section from number 100 of our constitutions. It says, as members of an order of brothers, we nourish ourselves a sense of belonging to the entire Capuchin family. And that was his experience. We see hospitality as scriptural. Elizabeth hosted Mary and Jesus for 3 months. You see St. Paul being hosted by various communities. It is very scriptural. And in fact, one of my favorite verses in Scripture is on this topic of hospitality. It's from Hebrews. Let mutual love continue. Do not neglect hospitality. For through it, some have unknowingly entertained angels. Be mindful of prisoners as if sharing their imprisonment, and of the ill-treated as of yourselves, for you are in the body. So we don't know any prisoners here, but we could say, be mindful of the new friars here, as if sharing their newness. Be mindful of our brothers who are speaking their second language, as if English wasn't your first language. Be mindful of the brother who struggles with social interaction, as if you shared this struggle. Be mindful of the brother who has a daily headache for weeks, as if you had just had brain surgery. These are the angels, our brothers in community. Let us follow the guidelines of our constitutions and be hospitable to the angels in our lives.
Amen.